Today, I'm super stoked to have a great person on per diem. He hails from the Franklin College. Played basketball there. Is also the founder of his own wealth management firm, and holds the highly touted CFP certified financial planner designation. Justin Castelli, all the way from Indiana.
Yes.
Really excited to have you on per diem. So Justin, I wanted to have some fun to kick this off,
Yeah.
and talk a little ball, and hear about your basketball career
Yes.
at Franklin. So could you tell us about kind of your favorite, if you have a favorite memory,
Yeah.
from your time
So
there?
first, I'll let everybody know because probably nobody knows Franklin College. Franklin College is a small Division III school about 30 minutes south of Indianapolis. I grew up in Indianapolis. Basketball, when I grew up in Indianapolis, was ridiculous. So I went to a Division III school to be able to play as opposed to go to a bigger school and ride the bench and maybe have a chance to walk on. So at Franklin, I think you asked me when you gave me some notes beforehand, was favorite moment, best game. There's 2 months. So my sophomore year, we actually made the Division III national tournament. We lost the first game, got waxed, but it was still cool to make that tournament. But favorite moment was my senior year. I had a game where I was 7 for 7 from three-point line.
Hey.
And to follow that up, I went 4 for 5 and then 5 for 6 after that. So early in my senior year, I was actually leading all divisions for three-point percentage, and I only fell off because I didn't have enough attempts.
Coach wasn't giving you the ball.
Well, so I mean, if I had more attempts, would I maintain that hot hand and could I have stayed there, or would more attempts brought my percentage down? Who knows?
Yeah.
But that 7 for 7 game, we played Earlham, which is another smaller school in Richmond, Indiana. Del Harris was actually a basketball coach there before he made it to the NBA and everything.
Wow.
And I was just feeling it. It was awesome.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with basketball growing up. Is that something that you did? Did you play other sports?
I was a one-sport athlete, but that was by choice.
Uh-huh.
Basketball was my first love. My dad played growing up. He played for a few years in college at a Division III school in Pennsylvania. But there's pictures of me shooting a ball on a little Nerf hoop like at 18 months. I had a Dr. J Nerf hoop at 2 that I went through like 3 of them. So I always loved basketball. That's all I ever wanted to do. I had no interest in anything else. In high school, they tried to get me to play football. And my mindset was, I thought it would be fun. And honestly, looking back, I think football would have been a benefit for basketball just from toughness. Getting bumped and being able to go through. But if I tore my ACL playing football, I would be devastated.
Right.
If I tore my ACL playing basketball, that would be okay because that's what I love. So one sport athlete, played all the time. It's a lot different than now, and we're going to get to that later about like children's athletics.
Uh-huh.
But like AAU was just getting started. It wasn't as big as it was. We just played all the time. Pick up ball. We'd go to different courts around the city. That's all I wanted to do.
One of the things that I think that every athlete goes through is a transition period where they've spent their whole life dreaming about playing basketball. They get to do it, and then sooner or later it's over.
Right.
Can you tell me kind of what that process was like for you? Did you know what you wanted to do after basketball? I know you graduated with a degree in economics.
Right.
So kind of what was your thought process at the time, and how did you handle that?
I think as a Division III athlete, that transition's a little easier because the writing's on the wall. You realize that the likelihood of you playing professionally, whether it be in Europe, NBA is not the question, but playing anywhere else is slim to none. So you kind of get that realization that when you go decide to play Division III, like that's going to be the end of your career. So the transition's not as hard, I think, from that capacity. But I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I went to college with the intent of going to law school after graduating. I met my wife going into my senior year. She went to IU down in Bloomington and realized that she was the one. Like I knew then.
Right.
And I didn't want to go to school for 3 more years. So at that point is when I didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad helped me meet some other business professionals around the town. And I just kind of networked to find out what are the opportunities out there. And I kept on meeting with financial advisors of different Northwestern Mutual guys, Merrill guys, and I really just liked the idea of being an advisor and that relationship and the strategy. So that's how I found it. But I did not go into school with the intent of becoming a financial advisor. And honestly, I didn't do that good in my finance class.
But from just your background, I think you learned a whole bunch. I think you worked for an insurance firm.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then you discovered some things about the industry, and that led you to found your own firm.
Right. Yep.
Can you tell me kind of about RLS?
Yeah.
And
you got to keep that in. Yeah. Keep it in. Everybody, when it comes to video, people like authenticity. So as I tell my story, you go run and get that, and we keep it in. We keep it in. So my story to get to my firm. So like you said, I started at an insurance firm right out the gate and realized that I did not want to use the title of a financial advisor to sell life insurance.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with life insurance. There's a place for it, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for everybody. That should be the product. So realized that was not the best place for me. At the same time, got engaged. We began building our first house. So I went to work at a bank for a year and hated being in that branch environment. Next step was going to a 403B company that was great for me building my career. They paid for my CFP. That's where I got my first clients. The plan there was always to leave to start my own company. I knew I wanted to go independent because I didn't want anybody telling me what I should or should not be doing. And at that time is when I first found like financial blogs, and I knew I wanted to write. Not that I was any good at it, but I just wanted to do it, and compliance at a big firm is not going to let me do it. So I wanted to go independent. Last minute, deviated, went to go work with another advisor as a succession plan that didn't work out, like so many.
Yeah.
And then I started RLS Wealth Management.
I know a lot of athletes and people that deal with sports like the idea of starting their own business. You started your own business.
Yeah.
Is there just some advice that you learned along the way, or maybe what's the best advice that someone gave you that you kind of took to heart and you felt really was instrumental?
So honestly, I don't, as far as business advice, I don't really think there's anything that I remember somebody saying that a really light bulb went on. Like I just knew this is what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I think the advice that I've learned is to not rush, but I'm going to talk out the other side of my mouth as well, but also don't delay. And what I mean by that is in the don't rush part, plan things out. So like when I went to start my firm, I knew who I was going to custody with, where my clients' assets were going to be held. I knew what financial planning software I knew everything. The last thing to figure out was the company name before I made that leap. So I figured out all the details. The explanation I give is whenever you start a business or make a change, it's a leap of faith. And if you can identify and address as many of the risks as you can, you make that leap closer. So it's never going to be like just a walk. But if you can shorten that jump, then I think the chances of success of getting to the other side are much greater. So I think that I would plan out, address everything. I think be conservative in your estimates. So if you're figuring out what type of income do you need while you build this up, add more onto it because you're probably underestimating. And also there's going to be things that happen while you're building that require you to have more income saved up. So the don't delay part is you can always find a reason to wait until the next time. So sometimes it's, I get bonuses every 6 months. I'm going to wait till the next bonus. And then that bonus rolls around. Well, it'd be nice to get one more bonus. Right. Set that date and go. Don't delay. And like many entrepreneurs will tell you, and I'm one of them, I wish I would have done it sooner. Because then you get out there and you realize it's not as scary as you thought. You've got your business model. You've got your things rolling. And now you see how great things are. And you wish you would have done it sooner.
Right. One of the things I think that you're passionate about, obviously creating content, but then also building a network of people, like-minded individuals, and that you just love hanging out with and chatting with and creating content with. I know when I first started, I kind of had a bad view of networking per se, showing up to a cocktail party.
Sorry to interrupt, but I know where you're going. So I think that networking is the right terminology, but the networking that I think is so important is not the traditional definition. I don't know what we would call it other than like relationship building, which sounds kind of corny. But you're right, going to networking groups where it's just a meat market of trying to find who you can refer with, like that's not good. I'm a big believer in being genuine and being authentic. So when it comes to building out your network, build it with people that you have a genuine interest in getting to know. And focus more on building the friendship and the relationship aspect. And if there ever is an opportunity for business down the road, it'll happen. So you can do that amongst your peers, which is one thing I've done. But also, like as a financial advisor, early on they tell you, go find a CPA, go find an attorney to refer back and forth with. And while I think that's important to have those contacts, I took the approach of I found individuals that I trusted and I thought do a good job and said, hey, when the need is there, I'm going to send my clients to you. All I ask in return is that you take good care of them. I don't care if you send me another client back. Just when they need something, take good care of them. Give them your best level of service. Because if you take good care of them, that makes me look good, and that's all that matters. Is I know that they're in good shape and my clients are happy with me. If a client comes my way from you, great, but that's not how I want to work. And to me, I feel a lot more confident telling my clients, go see so and so for your taxes, he does a great job. I get nothing out of it. I just know you're being taken care of. I feel better than that. I feel like sending somebody to a CPA just to get referrals back is disingenuous, and it goes against my core. So I think the key would be identify people that you want to learn from, that you respect, and then genuinely find a way to interact with them. And it's tough because I remember when I first started it, how do I bring value to them? And if you are genuine in your asks, you want to learn from them, a lot of times you'll find out people that you respect are willing to give a little bit of their time to help somebody when they realize they really want to get better and learn. And don't be afraid to ask. And they might say no, but you'd be surprised at how many yeses you would get. Don't waste their time and don't take advantage of it. And then there will be opportunities for you to give back. And that's how those relationships go. If you would have told me 3 years ago when I first really started to get active that the network that I would have established, I don't know, I didn't want to say build because that sounds like it was with intent, but the network that I found myself within, that I would be in there, I would have told you you're crazy. And it all happened just naturally, organically, as lame as that sounds. I didn't reach out and say, hey, I want to know this person for that reason. It was more of I really respect them. They have a lot of good things to say. I think I can learn from them. I want to get close just so I can pick up their crumbs as they drop them off.
You put a post out, did a video on paying for kids' athletics and kind of how much money that parents are pouring into their kids in sports, whether through travel squads or trainers and that sort of thing. And you have 3 boys who you post the basketball and everything that they do, and they can probably cross me over any time of the week.
Crossover's getting good.
Okay.
His crossover's getting good.
And I just had 2 kids, so it's kind of something on the top of probably our minds. Can you explain kind of your thoughts on kind of what you're doing, maybe personally for your family, in the lines of raising your kids up in athletics, and then kind of what your thoughts are on being kind of a sole focused athlete, or just just having one sport be your focus. So
I think first off, the athletic programs for children has become ludicrous. Like the system itself is crazy when it comes to like the expense and the games you have to play and the politics behind sports. And I think that there's got to be an overhaul of the system that I think the parents are going to have to lead. But the reason I say that is the boys basically play soccer and basketball. Like that's their 2 sports, and they're both pretty talented and gifted. We just finally made the decision to transition from what they call rec league to travel soccer, which is a significant increase in expenses and a significant increase in time dedication. In that video, I cited a study that said I think 10% of families that were surveyed spend $20,000 or more on their children's athletics in the hopes that they're going to get a scholarship. And it was some absurd percentage, like I think 67% of the people surveyed thought their kids would go to the pros or to make it to the Olympics. Wow. Which is insane. So basically the way I look at it, and why I think it's crazy, is these people are instead of investing for college education for down the road, traditional ways, 529s, whatever it might be, they're investing in trainings and development for something that has a low likelihood. So they're going to spend all this money for a kid who's going to be average and still have to pay for college, and they're just wrecking their financial situation. I get why, and as you're soon going to find out, if you already don't have that feeling, you want to give your kids the best. Right. And we're all blind to the fact that our kids are not as good as we think they are no matter what. We always think they're better. I mean, look at American Idol. Like, people go on there, and their parents pretend they're good singers, and they're horrible. The same thing in the sports world. So the tough thing is, and what we found kind of frustrating, and what makes me think there needs to be an overhaul, there's no bridge between rec and travel. I would love for there to, because the reason we moved to rec is the boys' skill level has outgrown what they're getting in the rec league. But there's no level of you're good enough for rec, but we want to maintain a good family life. Here's kind of a middle league. So it's good talent but less commitment, which is kind of what you're younger than me. That's what I grew up with. Right. Like there wasn't this thing. You did your school leagues, and then you played a lot of pickup, and there's a little bit of AAU. It was a lot less pressure. And if I look at it, there's some pretty good athletes that came out of that system. I don't necessarily know if this very specialized system that we're seeing in America really produces better athletes and better chances, but that's where we're at. It's a lot of money. The other thing is, don't force the kids into sports. If they're expose them to them, let them see if they're interested in it. Maybe put them in the league the first time, but if they're not into it, don't force them. Like, be happy with whatever they're interested in and love them for who they are. If it happens to be sports, great. And I say that very fortunate that as an athlete, my boys are athletic and love sports. So maybe I'd sing a different tune if they weren't that way. But I still think deep down that if they wanted to do something else, I'd be behind them 100% and enjoy whatever it is that they're doing.
2 questions kind of as we wrap up.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot. You've grown a lot in your career. Are there people or books that you've read that have influenced that you think would be good for other athletes or people building in their career to know about?
So if we're going to talk financial advisory career, I think every future financial advisor should read Nick Murray's Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth. Everybody talks about that. That's one of the books that I think is real great. I think it helps you find your purpose as an advisor and kind of the view you should have on your relationships with your clients. I think that's a great book. I read a lot of books. I'm reading one now that I'm really loving. It's called Alchemy by Rory Sutherland, and it's more about branding and marketing. And I think I see how it applies to what it is that I do. So I think that's a great book because a lot of what traditional marketing doesn't actually work the way that our behaviors do. So it kind of ties into behavior financing as well. So Nick Murray's book, I would check out Rory's book just because I really like that. As far as people, I always want to give those that took time to help me as I was getting started a shout out. And the one that had the biggest impact is Josh Brown of RLS Wealth Management. And if anybody follows me, like I'm an obvious fanboy, and I'm not going to apologize for it because I think what they're doing is tremendous, and the business they've built shows that. But when I hesitate to tell this because I don't want people to hit Josh up, but when I went to start my firm, this was back when he still had his Gmail on his blog. I emailed him on a whim. I'm getting ready to start my own company. Really enjoy what you do. Would love to pick your brain. I think I may even said that. I emailed it with no expectations. I promise to be a short story. Friday night, 11 o'clock, I send this email out. Not thinking I get any response. Saturday morning, I have an email back from the guy that is in the industry that I look up to the most, setting up a phone call to answer my questions. And he took an hour of his day to answer my questions, which was just tremendous, which is why I will always set up a phone call. If somebody reaches out to me and they think that I can provide any amount of value on any aspect of what they might want to do, I'll set it up. And I always will because he took the time to talk to me. And there's others, but that's the one that really stands out to me, has made a huge impact, and he has become a mentor and somebody that I continue to look up to this day. And there's a lot of people that have helped out, but he's the one that, and he would be a great follow if you're new to the profession, just to see what he's doing and what their firm is doing. So downtown Josh Brown would be the guy that stands out.
What's the best life lesson that sports has taught you as you look over kind of your whole life?
I was thinking of it, and I'm going to say 2. I think that sports are great and encourage, like I would want to encourage the boys, even if they weren't in sports, to have that experience. I think it teaches you how to fail, whether that be getting cut from teams, not making the starting lineup, losing games, missing the game-winning shot. It teaches you how to fail and respond and recover. It also teaches you that it's not the end of the world, and also life's not fair. So it teaches that, and I think that's huge because I think the fear of failing is what keeps people sometimes from reaching their potential. When if you fail, you just pick yourself up and you go a different angle. The other thing is just hard work and discipline. That it amazes me how lazy a lot of people are, and there's lazy athletes as well. But I think that why you see so many athletes start their own business is that hard work and discipline and sacrifice that we learn through practices and everything that we give up to follow our love and play that sport can easily translate over into any type of business.
Right. So
I think that hard work and discipline has been another thing that's been very valuable from sports. And you can list teamwork and all those other things as well. But for me, those are those 2.
Awesome. Where can people find out more about you? I know you're on Twitter. What's your handle?
So the handle on Twitter is @Justin Castelli, but it's JUS10 Castelli, Castelli. So that's where I'm on Twitter. That'd be the easiest place, and then from there you can see. I mean, I have a bunch. I have 2 podcasts, 2 blogs, a YouTube channel, Instagram, but you can all find it there.
This guy's killing it. Justin Castelli, everyone. Justin, man, thank you so much for being on here.
Oh, thanks for giving me the opportunity. This is exciting.